So, I'm here today to give you some cozy reading recommendations. Everybody's feeling around a cozy read is slightly different. Mine is going to skew heavily towards the cozy fantasy type side of things, but I do think that my number one recommendation for a cozy read is to reread your favourite book, because there's nothing that is going to make you feel more cozy than reading something that you are super familiar with and that you could practically tell that story yourself. So that's the number one recommendation. But since I don't know what all of your favourite books are, I've got a slightly different list to give you. There is a distinct lack of diversity amongst the authors of these books, because this is something I'm really struggling with. So if you know of any cozy books that are from authors of colour in particular, then please let me know down in the comments. But for now, let's get into this list. So one of the series that I bang on and on and on about on this channel, and I won't apologise for that or stop anytime soon, is the Meddle and Mend series by Sarah Wallace, the first book being Letters to Half Moon Street. This is a queer normative Regency romantasy, and it is very cosy. It's set in London, and each book in the series centres a different protagonist, but the whole series follows sort of the same group of people, group of individuals, and their stories of growth and romance, and it's lovely and very cozy indeed. And sorry if you can hear my cats scratching in the background. The next one by the same author, although with another author, S.O. Callahan, is Breeze, Spells and Bridegrooms, and this one is the first in a new series, also in a queer normative Regency London. This one has fae though. It's a little bit more magic, I would say, in this one than in the Meddle and Mend series, but not by a huge margin. They're still fairly low fantasy, low magic in terms of its influence on the plot, but Breeze Spells is a bit higher up there in terms of magic usage. And this follows two gentlemen, one's a human, one's a fae, who end up having to get married because their engagement is announced in a newspaper even though they're not engaged, and it's better for them to just go along with it than face the fallout of that rumour being false. I read an early copy of this book and it is very, very cute indeed. Next we have The House Witch by Delimhach. This is a trilogy which follows a house witch, which is a particular type of witch. That was a lot of witch in one sentence. Which is a particular type of witch whose magic stems from being in their home. And so I've said it before, I'll say it again, the whole series gives me the vibe of that scene from Disney's Sword in the Stone where Merlin helps Arthur pack up, or Arthur helps Merlin pack up. Either way, someone's packing up their stuff and singing a song, and the whole series of The House Witch is kind of like that. It's very, very, very cozy in vibe. There's slightly more plot going on than in some of these other recommendations, but just the setting itself feels really cozy, and it's a lovely cast of characters. It's very found family. Love that series. The next is the Keeper of the Lost Cities series by Shannon Messenger. I have tried to pull from some lesser known works, but I couldn't help but put in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. This is middle grade epic fantasy, and there's so much plot going on, and there's so much magic, and there's so many characters, but the overall feeling is just somehow so familiar that it's cozy. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm not gonna spend long on that one because you all know I love it. The next one is The Girl Who Could Not Dream by Sarah Beth Durst, and this one is also a middle grade book, and as the name of the book suggests, it follows a girl who cannot have dreams, but she actually, funnily enough, works in a shop with her parents that sell dreams, and some dreams escape. So this one, there's a little bit, there are some creepy elements in here, but because it's middle grade, I mean, it might not be a cozy read for a middle grade audience, but for an adult audience, I think it's cozy, partially just because it's middle grade, but also it's that whole finding yourself, finding your friends, developing some confidence thing that just adds that cozy vibe. And I just think that the concept itself is cozy, like a shop that sells dreams. That's cozy, right? While we're on the subject of Sarah Beth Durst, I'm also going to mention her book Catalyst, purely because there is a giant talking cat. What more do you need for a cozy read? Honestly. While we're on the subject of cats, I'll talk about The Cat Who Saved Books, which is by Sosuke Natsukawa, and it's translated by Louise Heel Kawai. And this one is really an ode to books and a love story for books, like the love of books. And yeah, as the name suggests, like the basic plot is this, again, talking cat comes and tells our main character that his help is required to save books. And really the plot isn't the point of the story. I will say this one is a little weird, so if you're not about weird, then it might not be cozy to you, but just the way that the author talks about how much love they have for books by showing a character who loves books and saves books is just, that's cozy to me. But yeah, be warned, it's a little bit of an odd one. Next, I'm going to talk about a fantasy series. This one's light academia specifically, and it is the Collegium Chronicles by Mercedes Lackey. You knew I was going to have to get some Mercedes Lackey in here somewhere, and here she is. So the Collegium Chronicles is a quintet that follows Mags, who is rescued from a mine where he was orphaned and enslaved, and he is taken to the magic school to learn to use his magic and to become a spy. There's just something about pastoral type fantasies that are cozy to me because of the type of reader that I am and the type of reading that I have pretty much always done. But although there is adventure and there are stakes in this series, as with all of Mercedes Lackey's books, or at least the ones that I've read so far, there's much more of a focus on characters and character growth and the building of character relationships. And I just find the setting of this series and also the focus on like the mystery elements to fall within the cozy category for me. And then finally, I'm going to end with The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon, which is a hate to love secret pen pals romance. Yeah, I think that's what I'll say. There is plot going on in this one as well. It's not no plot, but again, the plot isn't really the point of the story. We're really just following the blooming relationship between these two characters who don't know that a relationship is blooming between them. It's quite funny and very, very cute, and I really enjoy it. And both of the characters are tall, so I connect with it from that side of things as well. While we're here, I also wanted to share with you a few of, or just 3 of the cozy books that are on my own TBR that I have not read yet, but I plan to at some point this year. So, and because I haven't read these yet, I'm just going to read you the synopses because I don't really properly know what they're about yet. So the first one is A Tournament of Losers by Megan Durr. All Wrath wants is a quiet, peaceful life. Same. Unfortunately, his father brings him too much trouble and too many debts to pay for that to ever be possible. When the local crime lord drags Wrath out of bed and tells him he has 3 days to pay his father's latest debt, Wrath doesn't know what to do. There's no way to come up with so much money in so little time. Then a friend poses an idea just ridiculous enough to work. Enter the Tournament of Losers, where every 75 years, peasants compete for the chance to marry into the noble and royal houses. All competitors are given a stipend to live on for the duration of the tournament, funds enough to cover his father's debt. All he has to do is win the first few rounds, collect his stipend, and then it's back to trying to live a quiet life. And I personally love a competition trope, so that sounds super cozy to me, but also it sounds like it's going to be just ridiculous and hilarious, which I'm totally down for. Then we have A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic by J. Penner. A human, a dwarf and an elf walk into a bake-off. In the heart of Edinshire, where elfish enchantments and dwarven delights rule, Arletta Starstone, a human confectionist, works twice as hard perfecting her unique blend of baking and apothecary herbs. So when an orc neighbour secretly enters her creations into the prestigious elven baking battle, Arletta faces a dilemma. Being magicless, her participation in the competition could draw more scowls than smiles, and if Arletta wants to prove her talent and establish her culinary reputation, this human will need more than just her pastry craft to sweeten the odds. While competing, she'll set off on a journey of mouth-watering pastries, self-discovery, heartwarming friendships and romance, whilst questioning whether winning the baking battle is the true prize. Escape to a delightful, cosy fantasy where every twist is a treat and every turn a step closer to home. And I just love baked goods and fantasy books, so this sounds great. And then finally, we have the Tea Princess Chronicles, which I believe is a trilogy plus a novella by Cassie Blair, or Casey Blair? Casey Blair. This is the synopsis of the first one, which is a coup of tea, or a coupe of tea, if you want to pronounce it phonetically. When the fourth princess of Istalam is due to dedicate herself to a path serving the crown, she makes a choice that shocks everyone, herself most of all. She leaves. In hiding and exiled from power, Mayara finds her place running a tea shop in a struggling community that sits on the edge of a magical disaster zone. But there's more brewing under the surface of this city, hidden magic and hidden machinations that threaten all the people who've helped her make her own way. Mayara may not be a princess anymore, but with a teapot in hand, she'll risk her newfound freedom to discover a more meaningful kind of power. A Coup of Tea is the first book in the Tea Princess Chronicles, a cosy fantasy series full of magic, tea, friendship, and lifting people up even when the odds seem impossible. And I really love tea, so that's it. Those are the ones that are on my TBR. If you've read any of those already and you have any thoughts about them, then please let me know. And as I said at the beginning, if you have any recommendations, then please let me know that as well. I know that there are tons of others that I haven't mentioned, but as I said, I tried to keep this list more to stuff that I don't hear talked about tons on BookTube, so hopefully this has introduced you to something new. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.